AAA dev speak out the big Witcher and Cyberpunk plan. Nintendo and Nintendo, C&D, Valve, and more. Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news. I have got amazing gaming stories for you today. We have CD Projekt Red, a little bit about their future, them crushing some rumors. We have got a funky little situation with Valve and Dolphin. We've got follow-up stories to the likes of Darktide and the Disco Elysium drama. Let's just say, whenever we were covering it initially, we certainly were suspicious of what one side was saying. And yeah. There's certainly more to that than the default sort of opinion of the press happened to be when all that came out. So let's dive in. Number one, Dolphin-related chaos on Steam. Yes, if you wanted to grab the legendary Dolphin emulator to...
What? Wait, what is this? Dolphin is an emulator for the big N's 6th and 7th generation consoles, featuring enhancements such as increased resolution, save states, and netplay. For the big N's, 6th and 7th generation. Does he mean Nintendo? Dolphin emulator has existed for nearly 20 years. The tool will allow users to run ROMs of their legally purchased and held copies of Nintendo. Oh, it is. Okay, so it is Nintendo games. The Dolphin emulator is, I guess, the most popular emulator for Nintendo games for at least 6th and 7th gen.
Run ROMs of your legally purchased and held copies of Nintendo, GameCube, and Wii games on PC. No, not going to happen. The latest update here is that they've had to stop things. Now, the way that they've always said, Dolphin does not provide any games. It is just a tool to run legally obtained copies of these games.
Bro, how does this thing determine if the game is legally bought or whatever? If it's just an emulator, like, how does it know that? Like, what?
Once you've dumped copies of your games into a compatible format, you can launch them directly from the emulator.
Okay.
Now, to many people, yes, you could dump your game in there, and you could maybe do a little switcheroo for a version of it that allowed you to run a game, maybe a really cool ROM hack, run a game with a bunch of community tweaks and fixes. I mean, goddamn, have you seen Breath of the Wild running at 4K? Whew, 4K 60, looking good.
4K? Nice. 60? Huh?
Certainly beats 3 pixels, 10 frames a second. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get my drift. So it's something people are interested in because Nintendo is, just not willing to sort of provide really good hardware. Okay, so questions were actually brought to Nintendo by Valve. Valve saw Dolphin was going to come up here, and I think Valve, knowing that Nintendo are absolute hitmen in the legal department, they reached out. So Dolphin are claiming that Valve Legal reached out to Nintendo to ask them about this, and then that prompted a response in the form of a legal challenge from Nintendo on May 27th. This is addressed.
So Steam or Valve allowed this emulator to be sold on Steam, but then Nintendo's like, whoa, wait a minute. What is this bullshit?
To Valve's legal document, and it says legal department, and it says because the emulator violates Nintendo's IP rights, this is to provide you notice for your obligation to remove the offering of the Dolphin emulator from the Steam store. And they specifically mention that the software works by incorporating source code-based cryptographic keys without Nintendo's authorization, and therefore is circumventing copy protection. Now, initially there was confusion here over, even from Dolphin.
Yeah, circumventing copy protection from the legally bought games. Okay.
Themselves. Over this. So it wasn't a DMCA. This was just a standard cease and desist, legal removal notice. Hey, we're going to tell you this. They do cite, of course, DMCA as a motivating factor. So this is basically just remove this or we're going to have to do the thing, and it would all suck if we had to do the thing. So just remove it.
This is the unofficial route, and this is the notification of them doing the unofficial route before they make everything official.
So we don't have to do the thing.
Yeah.
And then Valve complied. That's basically that. And yep, Dolphin on Steam is indefinitely postponed. So basically, there you go. Now, stuff. Because the status of emulation, in theory, is protected. But Dolphin Wii emulation has got a factor that may complicate that. So, Dolphin does distribute the Wii AES 128 common key, which is used to encrypt Wii game discs. So, from the perspective of Nintendo, that is infringement. Ultimately, though, Dolphin is still around. You can use it, you just won't be able to download it from Steam. Can you add an EXE to Steam? Yes. So, you know, bit of a drama, but also much ado about nothing. I think if you know you want to use Dolphin, you already know that. And it's pretty dope. Check it out. All right, CD Projekt Red shutting down acquisition rumors and some other stuff. Right. Absolutely, everything was going on about this. A leaker suggested that they were potentially getting ready to be acquired by...
Bro, look at all the hard copies of this game. PC, PS4, Xbox. Dang, dude. What happened?
Sony. This went absolutely viral, and, well, none of it was actually true. And this ends up being a problem when it starts getting picked up enough that CDPR C-suite members actually feel the need to talk to rooters, because basically, you know, we're going to get acquired. What does that mean about the stock price, right? You know, important things. Okay. So they go to rooters to say, no, categorically, this is not happening. Instead, they would much rather focus on their financials that pretty much guarantee they don't need to be acquired because they're having...
Bro, I still haven't played Cyberpunk. Like, I bought it or whatever, but ever since the reviews that came out that are like, oh, with all the bugs, it's unplayable, blah, blah, blah. And then they released that roadmap of like, hey, we're sorry, we're just going to keep on working on the game and release patches and shit. So eventually it'll be playable. And I still haven't gotten around to playing it.
Having a good time. Witcher 3 is actually one of the top 10 best-selling games of all time. 50 million units pushed, with 75 million units of the Witcher trilogy. Now, otherwise then, there is the layoffs and restructuring of Project Sirius at the Molasses Flood, and another 30 at the team managing Gwent.
Bro, what are the names of these things? Project Sirius, but Molasses Flood. Who is naming these things? I guess this is like a team, or this is like a project or whatever. At Molasses Flood, what is this?
So those side things are being downplayed a bit, and instead, it's very much them doubling down on their big titles. And as time goes on here, you can see the support for Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh, let me see this. Let me see. We got graphs. We got colors. Okay, so, okay. So this is 2021. This is 2023. Cyberpunk, yellow, support for Cyberpunk. The support is going down. Less and less support. Is the game good yet? Oh, okay. What is this? Witcher 3 next gen version. Why did it spike up right here? Bop, bop, bop. All right. It's pretty much like the same business as usual. Gwent, which is the green thing. Bop, 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 bop. All right. Witcher Monster Slayer. Spoko? What's this? Purple stuff? It's like non-existent. Oh my god. The Witcher Monster Slayer fans are wreathing right now. What is this? Phantom Liberty CP expansion. Ooh, that's a big chunk. Big chunker. Ooh. Dang. That's a big chunk taking up a lot of time. Other projects that they don't want to talk about. New Witcher game. Oh, new Witcher game. Uh-oh. Be on the lookout. And then Sirius, the Molasses Flood. Okay, I have no idea what the heck this is.
Plus the next gen version is going down and down and down and down. And, you know.
Does that mean Cyberpunk is ready to like be played yet without a lot of bugs?
Their other projects are then growing. Of course, not that that's the end for Cyberpunk. This just represents the large amount of initial work that they needed to do. And that's because when you actually look at this chart, the large light blue here is Phantom Liberty, right? So this is just initial unscrewing Cyberpunk, and then really the lion's share of their staff working on that.
Yeah.
With, as we can see here from the, I suppose, Cyan line, the new Witcher game, which is codenamed Polaris. That is sort of the next big thing. And then, you know, other projects, stuff like that, Gwent-related stuff also factoring in. So overall, then, they've got the new Witcher trilogy, and that is the next big thing that they're working.
Wait, so Witcher 4, 5, and 6? Another trilogy for a game. Ooh. All right. Hopefully they don't do an Assassin's Creed, you know, where it's just a copy-paste with tiers of equipment with damage numbers. Yeah. And then repeatable side quests, but, you know.
Working on, which is this, you know, Polaris, this new Witcher game. And then there's also a Witcher 1 open world game, right?
Open world remake.
Basically, it's just, I mean, to keep Geralt, because, you know, we like him, he's our boy. They're doing Witcher 1 as like an expansive game, which is great, because Witcher 1 actually has got so many awesome things, but some of those combat animations are funny. It's a funky game, absolutely punching above their weight for the time, but I think this is something we'll absolutely, I mean, I'd love to see. So that they're probably going to have Polaris, then some more Geralt, and then, you know, the future of the new Witcher trilogy is pretty cool. Now, another group are sticking with The Witcher, and that is Netflix, because in a move of hubris, perhaps if we're being charitable, a move of faith, they have, following the filming of season 4 with Liam Hemsworth, probably greenlit the 5th series. Of course, Henry Cavill's leaving.
Bro, like, I watched season 1 of The Witcher, and it was awesome. But there's no way you're going to try to sell me that season, like, 4, 5, and however many is going to be, like, at all good. Like, at all. Like, no. There's no way. Henry Cavill was the biggest fan of The Witcher, and he said it was a dream role. And, you know, season 1, awesome. Season 2, pretty good. Season 3, no, that's not the move. Too much shit is changing. The writers are saying, fuck the lore, we're doing what we want. Henry Cavill's upset. He's not having it. And he just, because of that, he's just dipping out. All right, this is not a knock on Liam or whatever. That's not a knock on him. He's just like, hey, you don't want to do it anymore? Hit me up. That's all it is. But yeah, season 4 or 5, like, there's no way these are going to be good at all. Like, I would imagine that most of the audience has stopped watching. Like, since season 3 ended, I would imagine most of the audience sees where it's going, and they're just so disinterested now that they don't even care about season 4. Like, they may watch it. There's probably going to be some chunk of people, like, that will watch it, but I don't know. They're probably not going to be, like, too enthralled by it anymore. So I don't know. We'll see.
There was quite a lot of drama in and around that. Who knows how much of that is, is even true? Rumors, scuttlebutt, it is what it is. I suppose if they're willing to greenlight this based on the filming of 4, then maybe they have confidence in Liam Hemsworth. That being said, Blood Origin happened. Blood Origin should have been used as like an expenses write-off. It is bad that Blood Origin happened to The Witcher, because it is a very bad show. And certainly it does have anyone worried about the future of that franchise with Netflix. As for other things then, well, of course, development in Cyberpunk 2077 is winding down. We are going to be seeing the Idris Elba-led, because that's sweet, Idris Elba's fucking awesome, Phantom Liberty be announced at Summer Games Fest. We'll probably see some stuff then. And after that, for them, it is full steam ahead for the future of the Cyberpunk brand, and of course the sequel to Polaris, right? The next Witcher. Now, what's interesting?
Development of right here. The development of Cyberpunk 2077 is winding down. Oh, maybe when it's done, the game will be like good to play. Maybe I'll pick it up then. Or I already picked it up. Maybe I'll play it.
This is presumably, I say presumably a shorter development cycle, but also what we do know is it's not using Red Engine, right? They're using Unreal. So that, I'd say, probably means good things. And certainly in terms of like getting, hiring developers onto these projects, if you are using a standard out of the box, like take Rare, Playground Games, there's 2 Microsoft studios, they use Unreal. All right, if a developer leaves one of them, they can move over here, and they're still using Unreal. So that's quite useful. Next then, I just want to call out Bolt Gun. I played Space Marine off a certain Total Biscuits recommendation back in the day. I loved Space Marine. Space Marine 2 is coming out, but you can play the prequel to that, which is Bolt Gun. It is basically a pitch perfect for what it needs to be boomer shooter, as we say. It's
a Doom-like.
Just absolutely worth checking out. If you're on the fence, I'd recommend checking out Skill Up's video on it. And if you're maybe worried that it's one of those...
I really like all this like animation stuff happening right here. This is like, it looks weird because I've never seen it before, but it looks nice.
Absurdly high skill ceiling, like quite hard to get into, more modern boomer shooters, then no, don't worry. I think it's definitely designed that anybody who's...
And also, I know this is just a category thing that Bellular is saying, and it is what it is, but this is really stupid calling it a boomer shooter, and it's not healthy for like the genre, implying that only people on... I mean, this game is probably going to have like controller support, I mean, I get the whole genre, the idea of it or whatever, but it's like, calling it a boomer shooter is like saying that like, oh, if you're kind of young, you probably won't like it. And that is kind of taking away from it, like kind of like devaluing the whole genre of like, oh, if you like this type of game where...
who's vaguely interested in that
where like
setting.
The gun is like on the side or whatever, and there's no sprint, and it's just your reticle, and it's just your pure aiming capacity. It's kind of implying that like, hey, this game is hard, there's no use in playing it, you're probably gonna get frustrated. Yeah, and that it doesn't really look good for, I don't know, the genre or whatever. I don't know, maybe it's gonna be like an M&K only thing. I doubt it, but I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. It's whatever.
Get into it. One of the criticisms I've heard is that, like, yeah, the bolt gun actually feels so good that you may not want to use other things. Which, I mean, is actually a valid design criticism, but hey, anyone who does a bolt gun good, and get a thumb up in my book. So, next thing then. I just wanted to call this out. It's not enough for a full story, but it is some tweets from the people who have made failed games. It's just a little thing that, Game Dev Twitter was doing, people sharing, what was the last project, or, your lowest rated project. Because at the end of the day, you have a set of skills, you're a professional, you move from project to project to project. Some of them will be stinkers, some of them will be brilliant. Look at how many brilliant actors or directors just have a few shitty movies on their Rotten Tomatoes list. It is what it is. And I just think it's interesting. So here's Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Not a great game.
Oh.
So here's this fella saying, not enough time, too much content. We managed to turn it around after a lot of updates, but it was too late. There you go. Worked on the last thing, Operation Motherland. And that's exactly what happened with this game. It was absolutely up shit creek. As he's saying, there wasn't enough time. There was too much game. They couldn't make it all good. This game ended up, of course, being a laughingstock when it came out. Tried as hard as they could. And at the end of the day, whatever people say, like lazy devs and stuff.
I never played Breakpoint.
It is somebody who has been given a task that fundamentally doesn't work by a leader who doesn't understand. And that's why the game's not good. Another perfect example of that is Anthem. Here, tweet from Ian. I learned a lot in this project. We knew it wasn't ready. And that's the thing. You see all those shit show games like...
Yeah, when anybody like on the team that made the game comes out and says, we knew it wasn't ready, but we had to release it because we were getting pressure from the people above us or whatever. It's like, it's not the devs' fault or whatever that they have to release the game, because ideally, like the devs, they just want to fucking make a good game, it's just so, it's unlucky that it had to happen within a set time period instead of, oh, we need more time, because I didn't play Anthem, but I've seen enough gameplay on it to be like, oh wow, this is actually really interesting. This is actually really cool. The entire game just looked awesome or whatever, but on release there's a shitload of bugs or whatever. And you know, everything happened, and it is what it is. And it just sucks to see another game get completely shit on because it was taken out of the oven way too early. It wasn't done cooking yet, so whatever.
Lord of the Rings, Gollum. Do you think anyone who worked on Lord of the Rings Gollum thought, I know what we should do? Release Lord of the Rings Gollum?
Oh,
no,
Jesus.
Absolutely not. Look, that game could have been a 7 out of 10 probably if it was polished up and the stealth was good and the bugs were gone. But that shit...
Yeah, imagine if Gollum was good. Like, if I could try to make like a pitch for like Gollum to be good, I would say at best try to make it a little bit like Splinter Cell, you know? Figure it out. Use shadows, use sound. Do whatever you got to. Like make it kind of acrobaty or whatever. You get I think that would have been really like a really cool concept. Like Splinter Cell / Gollum as like a stealth action type deal. You know, anything would have been better than what we got.
Takes time. Leaders were obviously not willing to give that any time. This game was created in 15 months, and you're like, no, Anthem was developed for years. Yeah, how many of those years mattered?
Yeah.
Barely any. Just like that with Overwatch 2. The PvP bit was made very quickly
What
at
a
the end
segue.
because they needed something. Anthem 2 would have been great. And you know what? Fair enough. Because flying around with the mech suits was pretty sweet. Like,
Yeah.
pretty sick. I like that. There were good.
Like, look at the graphics. The graphics are fucking awesome. It's like the literal, like you feel like you're actually just Iron Man, just flying around or whatever. And that's cool. Like, look at all these like lighting effects. You know, fuck the visual clutter. Like, whatever. You're flying around shit in a fucking mech suit. That's sick.
Good parts to Anthem. It's just, you can't pull a game like that together.
And then you just drop on the ground. Like, holy jeez. Like, the transition from like ground play to like, I don't know, jet simulator is freaking cool, man. Jesus, that's a lot of motion blur. God.
15 months. I know that like Mass Effect 3 was made in something ridiculous like 18 months, but at least with Mass Effect 3, they knew
Oh my God. I forgot how much visual clutter was in this game.
what it was. You know, you don't have unknown unknowns in Mass Effect 3. It's like, okay, start to end, we got to make the game, let's go. But this, when you have, you know, you don't really know what the game is. This is after years of chaos. Man, crazy. Here's another one, Battlefield 2042. Now, I may do a video on this game soon because it actually is so much better than it was at its launch. It's insane.
It's it might be so much better than it was at launch, but the initial thing that everybody remembers for Battlefield, whatever this is, 2042, is how it was on release. That's the main thing that most people will remember. You know, I'm not talking about the current player base, like the diehards that play it like day in, day out. You know, they have been there witnessing the progression of how good it is because they're the hardcore fan base. You know, whenever like a new game like installment gets like released, the goal is to try to draw in new people. You know, the new people aren't attached to like the regular news sources for the game, for like all the updates. They don't care about that. They just want the game to be good on release. And when the game isn't good on release, for like a if they're like jumping in on day one and they saw the floating ships traveling up the skyscrapers, you could spawn like the little hovercrafts anywhere you wanted to. There's no scoreboard, all the bugs, all the lag or whatever in the game, and they're like dissatisfied with it. They're just gonna dip out. They're going to have some buyer's remorse. Hopefully they played it for less than 2 hours or whatever, so they can refund their money. Chances are probably not. But like, yeah, they're just going to dip out. And the thing that stays in their head is like, this game is shit. I'm moving on to something else. And when that happens, you literally damage your own company, or at least the reputation of it anyway, because that player is then going to have that, like thought in their head when the next installment of the series comes out. They're going to be like, oh, another Battlefield is going to come out. What's it going to be like on day one? What was it? Let's see. Can I remember what the last game was like? Oh, the last game released and it was dog shit, well then I'm probably not going to give this one a chance either. All right, that's what happens with normal people.
They have actually done a lot of work improving, and they've announced that they're actually going to be extending their support from this game beyond its 5th season, which is just to say that, like, hey, whenever something's not great, you can work hard and you can reclaim.
It seems like it's too much too late is kind of what it seems like.
Stuff. I'm not saying this is a No Man's Sky. I'm not saying it's a perfect game. You know, I basically almost had a seizure whenever I logged into it a few days ago, whenever I saw its UI and got very confused. But I'll tell you what, when I hopped in, I actually really had fun playing it. So, you know, they have done good work. They have tried. And as we knew from the leakers, this project was made at a studio that was just a revolving door of staff. You know, it was a total shit show chaos, losing a lot of the senior staff as well. Right, the people who actually have got that experience.
Oh, and, dang.
You know, yeah, they've stuck with. This game had many iterations, and the deadline never changed much, so never stood much chance being great at launch. And there you go, from Joachim here. It's like there, yeah, it had no chance. I mean, if the game keeps on changing, but the deadline doesn't change, oh dear, because that deadline was thought up with the initial scope of the game. So if that scope chops and changes, and, you know, we've heard things about, like, the Battle Royale element and all of this stuff with Battlefield 2042.
What? Battlefield's gonna have a BR now? It's just gonna be, like, Warzone, but with, like, more detailed vehicles. Like, the moment you get a jet, you're just fucking chilling. Or a tank, you're chilling. Like, what? And if the Battlefield BR doesn't have, like, crazy vehicles in it, the player base is not gonna want to play it. Because you essentially play Battlefield for the vehicles.
You know, from some of the leaks. So just a good example of, like, I bring this up, and this is like a video I just released or just put out on the channel about Eric Covington over at Blizzard. I think it's worth putting the human face in these developers, because often you actually have people, they turn up to work, they try really fucking hard to make the game good, when it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 man team. You know, like, wow, 650, 750 people. When it's that much, there's no amount of lazy devs or unlazy devs that's going to change things. Now we are managing a, like, I don't know, battalion, a platoon, who I don't know the military crack numbers, but it comes down to command and leadership, and that is what messes up our games.
I mean, essentially, I mean, you can complain, like, when somebody complains about a game and they're calling out, like, the devs for being, like, stupid or whatever, it's not like a personal attack. I mean, I don't think I've ever done this or whatever, but, like, I mean, I see, like, people on, like, Twitter or YouTube or whatever complaining about the devs of my game suck ass. This is kind of gonna have to be like a, can you separate the artist from the person type deal? Because whenever somebody says, oh, the devs suck, they don't know what they're doing, they're attacking, like, the developer part of that person. Not like, and the developer part of that person is only, like, a piece of them. It's not like the entire, you know, their inner true self or whatever you want to, like, categorize it. So, like, if someone tries to, like, critique something about, like, saying, like, a dev or something is, like, it's like they're wrong, they're brain dead, they don't know what they're doing, they're out of touch, whatever. It's more or less making comments on, like, the actions of the developer as, like, a whole, as an organization, you know, as, like, Bellular just said, the dehumanizing aspect of it, because it's easier to criticize, like, an organization than it is to, like, try to humanize a dev. And because when you humanize, like, people or whatever, or not oh my god, when, like, you try to, like, humanize an entire team, it's like, to me, it sounds like, okay, they're humanized now, it's okay if they fuck up. Which isn't probably what he's, like, talking about, but it kind of seems like, okay, they're just people. They obviously are, like, people. They're hardworking, trying to make the best game possible, like I said before. Everybody, you know, just wants to make a good game. That's all they want to do. But yeah, I'm just ranting right now. I don't even know what I was talking about. I'm just like so off topic now. Jesus. Okay, let's just keep watching.
Speaking of one, Darktide. Just wanted to point out a little bit about the about Darktide. I think it's really important that whenever a game comes out and is a shit show and we all clown on it, when those developers stick with the game, I think it's good that we also check in every now and then, because you don't want to just, you don't want to only punish, because whenever the good shit happens, you should reward the good shit, because you want more people to think that doing the good shit will be rewarded, right? As basics. So, the process of fixing this game is currently happening. We've got the Rejects Unite patch that's coming, and it's a part of the Skulls event for the Warhammer franchise. It's the biggest content patch that the game has had. It adds cross-play across the PC platforms. Steam, Microsoft Store, Epic Games Store. Imagine, there's like 3 people playing it over at Epic together. 2 new map layouts, 4th monster boss, starter community events, some new cosmetics that are purchasable with the
Content
base
drop.
in-game currency that you've been earning.
Oh boy.
Right? This also does mean reopening the premium currency shop, and also just like sweep balancing bugs, that kind of thing. Overall, they are basically fixing things up. The game is improving quality of life, that kind of thing, responding directly to the players. That's what our sort of research into the topic has brought up. Now, also, this patch did cause AMD GPUs to stop launching the game. But after a weekend of chaos, that has been fixed. Now, that being said, Xbox port, no sign of that yet. But honestly, what's the point in doing that until the core game is good? So, just to point out they're doing that. Also, a little bit in the remake train. System Shock. Yeah, the System Shock remake is actually out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I looked at these, basically it seems like it is a true classic game. You know, like it looks like a modern game in all those ways, but as a game, it still is that design. And for some people, they will want the design to be modernized some of those creature comforts. For others, they just want System Shock looking mighty good. And it does seem they've actually done that. So I think if you're potentially interested in this game, but wouldn't mind it looking kind of shiny and immersive, then you can do that. And it does seem like it's going to be a good time. And finally, we have People Make Games.
System
Released
Shock,
another incredible
like a
video.
single-player game,
It's
like
so cool
BioShock.
seeing People Make Games. Actually, I met their founder at he was doing sort of like beat work for I was covering like a Blizzard event. It was cool. I met him, and when he was talking to me, he was like, oh, because at the time he was working at Eurogamer, I think, and it was like I was there because I do YouTube stuff, and he was like, oh man, so we shoot the shit for a little bit. It's not like we, talk that much. But it's just cool to see People Make Games actually do really incredible work. And it's like, oh, nice. I met that guy back before he did this. Cool. It's like him and his team, it's like they had an ambition. They had a dream to make something. And it really seems like they've done that, which is just really heartwarming and nice. But yes, they did work here. This is on the Disco Elysium ZAUM situation. They talk about the labyrinthine structure of shareholders and owners pre- and post-release, the very bizarre business dealings that may have gone on between key creatives and investors around potential sequels, every party, basically where every party is now and what they're actually working on, including a bombshell that the fired creatives have been giving a deal with NetEase. That's it.
Oh boy.
You're gonna do all your, our anti-capitalist comrades are working with NetEase, the big money people, the big money people.
Oh boy.
Wow. And how this has actually impacted the people who literally made the game. And suffice to say, it doesn't look good for anyone because it's a messy situation.
Oh boy.
But that thing about the core creatives, honestly, they seem like they were fucking pricks to work with. And I get it. Sometimes, you have a half-insane alcoholic creative who just, splutters out some genius every now and then. But ultimately, if you treat your staff in a shitty manner, then you've treated your staff in a shitty manner. 2.5 hours. So if you have, if you need some interesting journalism, a good story, one full of drama, intrigue, and the poor bastards at People Make Games having to work out what's even going on in this story, all backed up by a whole bunch of just really nice artwork that they commissioned for the piece. Check it out. Yeah, check it out. Hit up People Make Games next. They absolutely deserve your view in this one. They've done wonderful work. And of course, that does bring us to the end of today's episode. So that's it for me. Do you know what? I'll hand it over to People Make Games. Check them out next. It's a really good piece of work. All right. I will see you later.
Nice.
And enjoy.
Good stuff, Cellular. Good stuff. Yeah, I thought this video was just like about AAA devs speak out or whatever. I wasn't expecting like a little news segment, but no, this is pretty cool. Yeah. Um, AAA devs telling it like it is. Indie devs getting their foot in the door. It's all good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. All right. Later.